allowance, a 5,000 rupee fertilizer pack for farmers. Presidential candidate Anurukumar Dissanayake says the government that shares the common interests of the public and the ruler will be formed on the 21st of September. MP Harsha De Silva criticizes the National People's Power policy statement. Opportunities for foreign students in Australian universities capped.
We now move on to those and other stories in detail. Taking a look at local news first. Steps have been taken to provide 500 million rupees to the Paddy Marketing Board in order to actively participate for the paddy purchasing program of the Yalla season in the year 2024.
Also, steps have been taken to increase the fertilizer subsidy paid per 1 hectare by 10,000 rupees. Accordingly, Nadu paddy will be purchased at 105 rupees per kilogram, while Samba paddy will be purchased at 115 rupees per kilogram and Kiri Samba will be purchased at 130 rupees per kilogram. Meanwhile, steps were taken to increase the fertilizer subsidy 15,000 rupees, which has been paid at present per 1 hectare, up to 25,000 rupees in order to encourage the farmers for paddy cultivation, enabling them to obtain maximum paddy harvest in the coming Maha season. Chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board Buddhika Iddamalgoda said that 19 of the 356 storages belonging to the Paddy Marketing Board were opened today. He also said that another 12 will be opened tomorrow. He said that the paddy purchasing will be carried out in 7 zones covering the 13 districts. He said that based on the request of the farmer community, measures have been taken to open close to 100 storages covering other districts to purchase paddy. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that Minister Mahinda Amaravira continued to make clarifications regarding the need to increase the fertilizer subsidy. He further said that the minister requested to increase the rate from 15,000 to 30,000. However, he said that after consulting with the Treasury, a decision was reached to increase the subsidy up to 25,000 rupees per 1 hectare. Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that these increments would result with an increase of paddy harvest. He said that for tea planters, a subsidy of 4,000 rupees will be provided for 50 kilogram pack of fertilizer. He said that funds required for these initiatives will not be taken from the Treasury. He said that the Tea Development Board has a fund worth 11 billion which will be utilized for the tea planters. The World Bank has agreed to grant a special drawing right of $200 million under the second stage of the Development Policy Financing Program to support the implementation of the government reform plan. This is in line with the comprehensive funding facility of the International Monetary Fund. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal presented by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to enter into an agreement with the Internet of the World Bank. The national strategies on artificial intelligence in Sri Lanka have been prepared with the objective of creation of an empowered, digitalized Sri Lanka through the development and utilization of artificial intelligence. Accordingly, it is expected that Sri Lanka will be turned into a regional hub for artificial intelligence and to upgrade the global competitiveness and resilience of the economy by the year 2030. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal presented by the President to implement the national strategy on artificial intelligence in Sri Lanka, which has been prepared to achieve the said objectives. Approval of the Cabinet of Ministers was previously in relation to introduction of a new law in relation to the rights of Sri Lankan indigenous community. At that meeting, it has been decided that it was appropriate to further analyze the concept paper furnished to prepare the draft bill with the participation of all parties concerned. Accordingly, the relevant fundamental draft bill has been further improved subsequent to several rounds of discussions with the participation of various stakeholders. The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to the proposal forwarded jointly by the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs to instruct the legal draftsman to prepare a draft bill based on the relevant fundamental draft. Minister Vidura Wickramanayake said that this draft bill will be tabled with the intention to further protect the traditions and customs of these communities. When establishing the Department of Divinaguma Development by the Divinaguma Act, opportunities were given to the employees attached to the Samurdhi Development Authority at that time to be attached to the Department of Divinaguma Development by that time with a pension as per their preference, subject to provisions of that Act at several locations. However, it has been recognized that an approximate number of 3,000 employees are still available who could not revise their preference due to various circumstances. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers granted concurrence to the proposal submitted by the President to provide opportunity for the said group of employees to be absorbed into the Department of Samruddhi Development within the prevailing legal framework in consultation with the Public Service Commission. President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized the strength and talent of his team, asserting that they are well equipped to overcome any challenge facing the country.
The President highlighted the critical role of public support in ensuring the success of the government's economic recovery program. He made these remarks while speaking at the 37th Annual Conference of the Organization of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka in Colombo last evening. The annual conference, held under the theme "Towards Sri Lanka's Sustained Economic Growth," brought together professionals from various sectors. The Organization of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka, which consists of 52 member associations representing 34 sectors, boasts a membership of over 60,000 professionals.
We've been lucky that we've done a turnaround so fast for two reasons. One, I had a good team that helped me to put the economy into order, which includes Dr. Veera Singh. Secondly, we didn't go to argue. In a way, I may not have allowed too much of argument to go on. We took the decisions and went ahead. I didn't want to be like Greece. They came to an agreement, then they had the election, then they had a referendum where 60% rejected the agreement, then the economy collapsed again. Then they went back, and at the end of it, VAT, which was 13 point, became 23%. It took them 10 years to recover. I wanted the recovery to be as fast as possible, and that's what we have achieved. So if you are to sustain economic growth, addition to what was said by the governor, there are two things which I consider essential. Firstly, stick to the agreement that you have made with the IMF. As if you ask him, it was not easy. We had to discuss it. We are dealing with a number of parties. Fortunately, the IMF was entrusted with dealing with us in this instance. Unlike Greece, which had to deal with the IMF, the EU and the European Central Bank to start the negotiation. So we had the discussions with them. Then we also had to discuss with the two associated institutes, World Bank and the ADB. But then we had to deal with our creditors, 17 of them. Some of them were in the 18 of them. Some belong to the Paris clubs, others didn't, including India and China. Other than China, others opted to join the Paris club and become the official creditors committee. China stayed separately. So in fact, we were having two discussions, and each side was suspicious that we were giving advantage to the other side. So that's the discussion we had to deal with. And at the end of it also, we had discussed with these two groups. So you know how complex it is. But nevertheless, the agreement we reach, we must respect. However difficult it was, and it did impose hardships on the people of Sri Lanka, it has taken us out of the crisis. And we can see hope. We can see growth. And the strength in the economy has also brought relief to the people. When we looked at the energy prices and the reforms we had to do as the prices shot up, everyone was at the government and at the IMF. Today it's different. The prices have come down or is stabilizing itself. So this agreement must be maintained. There are those who say we must do away with it. Those who say we must change it. How do you change it? No one is going to change it because we say so. They have looked at the economy of Sri Lanka and we've agreed the path to stability. What should be done? In return, we have been given relief. I think if you look at the discussions, when you take the interest relief alone, it's about $10 billion. And it's stretched till 2042, giving us time to readjust ourselves. So all of them must agree. This is not a question of some people saying talking to the IMF. You have to talk to the IMF, you have to talk to the ADB, you have to talk to the World Bank, you have to talk to 17 countries including US, UK, France, Canada, India, Japan, South Korea, like that. In fact, we have to go around and speak to all of them to sign the agreement in time. So these are the people you deal with. Then you have to talk to the bondholders. So those who say we are going to talk to the IMF and adjust it, begin with, don't know anything of how you are going to deal with this issue.
Was presented with a commemorative gift, and the annual journal of the Organisation of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka was also handed over to him. Governor of the Central Bank Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe and President of the OPASL Sarath Gamage attended the event.
In the meantime, Governor of the Central Bank Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe says that a reversal of the current economic program will result in the recurrence of the economic and social crisis faced nearly 2 years ago. He made these remarks while addressing the 37th annual conference of the Organisation of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka.
This gathering comes at a pivotal moment as Sri Lanka emerges from one of the most challenging economic crises in its post-independence history. Despite these hurdles, the economy has regained its normalcy to a great extent within a short period. This progress is not by chance, but is the result of coordinated, transparent and robust measures undertaken by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and the government, supported by numerous public and private stakeholders, even like OPA, as well as international agencies and lenders and our creditors. The key driver of our progress has been restoration of macroeconomic stability, achieved through a sound monetary policy measure, strong fiscal consolidation measures, and implementation of long overdue structural reforms. These efforts have created a conducive environment for growth for us to move forward. Consequently, the Sri Lankan economy broke a 6-quarter streak of contractions in the second half of 2023 and has recorded positive growth since then. Leading indicators signal that this growth momentum is set to continue, underpinned by strong macroeconomic fundamentals. On the inflation front, inflation, which had peaked at all-time high in September 2022 to 70%, pivoted to single-digit levels within a year as a result of monetary policy tightening, and inflation remained closer or below the targeted levels since then. Considering the low inflation, well-anchored inflation expectations, and moderation of external sector pressures, the central bank began its monetary policy easing in mid of 2023 with a view to supporting the economy reaching its potential. The central bank's monetary policy stance continues to be accommodative, aligning with softened inflationary pressures. As per the current projections, based on available information at present, the inflation is expected to be well below the target of 5% until first quarter of 2025, before stabilizing around the targeted level later in 2025. Though it is technically inflation target missed on the lower bound, which is 3%, the economy could benefit from this extended period of low inflation, as it is coming out of the deepest crisis after recording historic level of inflation. The low inflation environment has been providing comfort and stability to both livelihoods and business activity, contributing to a continued rebound in domestic economic activity as we have seen so far.
Deputy Postmaster General Rajitha K. Ranasinghe says that a total of 712,318 registered secured packets of postal ballot papers have been received by all the districts. During a media briefing held in Colombo today, he said that the distribution activities have been completed up to 80%. Deputy Postmaster General Rajitha K. Ranasinghe said that a total of 712,318 registered secured packets of postal ballot papers have been received by all the districts. However, he said that measures will be taken to complete the distribution of all packets of postal ballot papers before 30th of this month. Meanwhile, steps have been taken to provide facilities for persons with disabilities to visit polling stations. Accordingly, an application should be produced to the returning officer of the relevant electorate in order to obtain their vehicle service. The Election Commission has further said that the relevant parties or anyone who is not a candidate, an election agent, an authorized agent or a divisional agent should submit the relevant application. The relevant application can be obtained from the District Election Office, Divisional Secretariat, Government Iladari Office or from the website www.elections.gov.lk. The Election Commission has further indicated that the applications should be submitted 7 days prior to the election date and handed over to either the returning officer or deputy or assistant election commissioner of the district. The Election Commission issued statement has further indicated that it would be convenient for the relevant returning officers if a medical certificate issued by a Western or indigenous medicine practitioner is attached with the relevant application in order to provide the facility.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes the importance in continuing the country's progress, likening it to crossing a vine bridge. He warned that cutting this bridge would result in the country falling into the river, highlighting the risks of abandoning the current path.
He
made these remarks while addressing the Puluwan Sri Lanka victory rally held near the Mavanella bus station earlier today. Many parties and alliance representatives and members were present at this occasion. Presidential candidate Ranil Wickremesinghe pointed out the importance of continuing the country's progress, likening it to crossing a vine bridge, and warned that cutting the bridge would result in the country falling into the raging river, highlighting the risks of abandoning the current path. To achieve this, he said that they must continue on the current path and cross the vine bridge, as they cannot afford to abandon it. Some people suggest stopping tax collection, which would decrease the country's revenue. They propose cutting the rope of the bridge, but if the vine bridge is cut, then the country will fall into the river. Therefore, he said that they must decide whether to continue on the vine bridge or sever it. According to the Janata Vimukti Peramuna manifesto, reducing tax revenue would lead to a loss of over 200 billion rupees for the country. He inquired on how will these expenses be covered if they cut the vine bridge. He said that they claim that while government revenue decreases, the prices of goods will also be reduced. However, without understanding the basic principle that one cannot reduce revenue while increasing expenses, they risk cutting the vine bridge from both sides, misleading the public in the process. He said that they have read the JVP manifesto and urge everyone to read it as well. It would take at least 2 or 3 months to go through it all, yet he said that they need to vote on the 21st of September. He said that his goal is to continue without abandoning the journey across the Vine Bridge. He said that they must establish economic stability and ensure its benefits reach the people. Beyond developing an export-driven economy, he said that they will work towards reducing the prices of goods once economic stability is achieved. After that, taxes can be gradually reduced. He said that they have already passed the necessary laws to establish this economy and now they need to be implemented. Governor of Sabaragamuwa Province Navin Disanayake said that both Sajith Premdasa and Andrew Kumar Disanayake could not make a similar stage, as only President Ranil Wickremesinghe managed to achieve it. Therefore, he said that they recognize and appreciate his leadership. MP Sudat Manjula said he affirms that KGOL will work together to cast their votes for the President on 21st September, paving the way for genuine development and prosperity in this country. MP Dushmanta Mitrapala inquired whether Andrew Kumar, who has never even run a small business, will be able to manage the country. He recently arrived at a rally in a 50 to 60 million rupee Prado, yet in his past he spoke of a politics rooted in modesty, even driving a Maruti Alto. He said that when the public noticed this contradiction, he switched to arriving in a high-ace van at his next rally. Minister Ali Sabri said that they are approaching a pivotal election. While winning is important, it is equally crucial to focus on how to govern effectively under the election, he added. State Minister Ranjit Siamalapatia said that he believes the ordinary people of this country are ready to support him with a record number of votes, as they know they owe their survival to him. State Minister Kanaka Herath said that their goal is to secure the highest percentage of votes for president from the Kegawad district. According to recent surveys, they are leading in this area. MP Ishaq Rahman inquired whether they will choose a leader who shies away from challenges or one who faces them head-on in the upcoming presidential election. Those who once retreated are now demanding power. They claim that if President Ranil Wickremesinghe took charge, the country would sink into darkness and that the dollar would rise to 2,000 rupees. But today, he said that they see those predictions were false.
Leader of the Samagi Janabalavege presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa says that the 20,000 rupee allowance for each poverty-stricken family will be made compulsory for 2 years. While speaking at a public rally in Samanture yesterday, he said that measures will be taken to provide a 5,000 rupee fertilizer pack for farmers.
மக்கள் வெள்ளத்தின் மத்தியிலே தலைவர் அவர்கள் பிரசன்னமாயிருக்கிறார். அவரை உங்களுடைய பலத்த கரகோஷத்தின் மத்தியிலே வரவேற்கும்படியாக உங்கள் அனைவரை நாங்கள் அன்பாக கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். அனைவரும் உங்களுடைய கரங்களை உயர்த்தி கரங்களில் கூடிய உங்கள் தொலைபேசியின் மூலமாக காணப்படக்கூடிய ஒளியினை நீங்கள் வெளிப்படுத்தி
Presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa said that a program to eradicate poverty will be implemented by incorporating the positives of the Jana Savya Samurdhi, Aswasuma and Gamidirya programs. Accordingly, he said that this program is aiming to eradicate poverty within a period of 2 years. Also, he said that each poverty-stricken family will receive an allowance worth 20,000 rupees. He said that a 50-kilogram high-quality fertilizer pack will be provided for a farmer community at a rate of 5,000 rupees.
Leader of the National People's Power, presidential candidate Andrew Kumar Dissanayake says that a government that shares the common interests of the public and the ruler will be formed on the 21st of September. He made these remarks while addressing a public rally held in Malabe last evening. Addressing the rally, presidential candidate Andrew Kumar Dissanayake said that the interest for this year's presidential election is with the people and not with the current rulers. Presidential candidate Andrew Kumar Dissanayake said that for the first time in the history of the country, people are eagerly waiting for the election. He said that previously this interest was with the politician. He said that the people are urging for elections. He called to form a government of national people's power. He said that for the first time this would be a people-driven government. He assured that they will not disappoint or harm the confidence placed by the people on them. He said that the interest of the people is to protect the resources of the country and manage these resources in a value-adding process. He said that the government that shares the common interest of the public and the ruler will be formed on the 21st of September. Secretary of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna Tilvin Silva said that Samag Janabalavege was intending to launch the policy manifesto on the 23rd. However, he said that this was postponed due to disparities between the draft prepared by MP Harsha De Silva and the opinions of the others.
Parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva says that according to the election manifesto of the National People's Power, the country will indefinitely withdraw from the IMF program. During a media briefing, he challenged the National People's Power to obtain the IMF approval to implement an alternative program. Parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva said that under the program with the International Monetary Fund, it cites the preparation of an alternative debt sustainability analysis for the reviewing process based on the requirements targeting debt sustainability and acceptable loan interest. He said that the entire IMF program is based on the debt sustainability analysis. He said that reviewing the IMF program through debt sustainability analysis would prevent the continuation of the existing IMF program. He said that under the debt sustainability analysis parameters, by 2031, the debt should be reduced by 95% compared to the GDP and the loan obtaining should be at 13% compared to the GDP. Accordingly, he said that debt restructuring has to be carried out within these parameters. He said that 2.3% surplus should be retained in the primary account. And he said that the debt sustainability analysis should be compiled based on these assumptions. He said that discussions with other international creditors over debt restructuring are being carried out based on this program.
Parameters
Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Namal Rajapaksa says that the only agricultural policy of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa will be implemented under his government. He made these remarks while taking part in a public rally held in Galgamu area today. The public rally was held at the Galgamu public market premises with the participation of presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa. Many party representatives and members were present on this occasion. Parliamentarian Tissa Kuttiarachchi said that presidential candidate Anrukumara Dissanayake has no plan to build the economy. He said that presidential candidate Anrukumara Dissanayake has no experience on tourism either. He also said that presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa is planning to provide 20,000 rupees for each Samruddhi family. Therefore, he inquired how is he planning to find sufficient funds to fulfill this election pledge under prevailing circumstances. Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Namal Rajapaksa said that the war was successfully concluded within a period of 3 years. He said that certain individuals levelled allegations against Mahasangha and war veterans. He said that they systematically targeted the Buddhist culture and the Mahasangha and even ridiculed war veterans. However, he said that they will form a government which protects the dignity of war veterans. He said that there was a shortcoming during President Gotabe's period over fertilizer. He said that he follows Mahinda Rajapaksa's policy on agriculture.
Presidential candidate Sarath Fonseca says that he only needs 2 years to rebuild the country as aspired by the people. He made these remarks during a public rally in Nuwara town yesterday. Presidential candidate Sarath Fonseca called not to betray the future of the people to protect a political party. He said that he stepped out from SJB mainly due to the actions of Sajith Premadasa. He said that in his opinion, this country would not be benefited if Sajith Premadasa wins. He said that he cannot work with corrupt politicians in that party. In 2022, there was a massive economic crisis in this country. People had to undergo many hardships, and he requested Sajith Premadasa and other members of the party to take over the government and responsibility. He said that Sajith Premadasa was in the opinion that he will not accept any government unless majority of the members of SJB agree to take government power and responsibility. He said that he then questioned Sajith Premadasa as to when he would accept the government. He then replied and said that such times are critical and dangerous to accept government responsibility. Presidential candidate Sarath Fonseca said that he then suggested if there was an interim government and join it. He said that when a president was elected through the government, Anrukumara had the backbone to represent himself, only having 3 seats in the parliament. Even though Sajith had discussions extending for weeks, he did not represent himself to contest in parliament and nominated Douglas Alaperuna's name.
Presidential candidate of the Sarva Jana Balaya Party, Dilip Jayveera, met with the Government Medical Officers Association. The meeting was held at the party headquarters in Borella. Following the meeting, presidential candidate Dilip Jayveera made remarks to the media. Presidential candidate Dilip Jayveera said that 40% of the general public has not yet decided who to vote in this presidential election. This means that people need an alternative political force that change the political culture of this country. He said that all other candidates who are contesting the presidential election this time are those who held various high posts in the government previously. He said that they are addressing the voters base of 40% who has not decided to vote for any candidate through their policies. He said that all other candidates are similar in their policies, including their appearances. Therefore, he urged the public to consider their policies and vote accordingly. He said that no candidate will secure a 50% vote and they will have a great opportunity to secure a road for the victory.
Presidential candidate of the National Democratic Front, Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, says that the laws required to instill a change in the country has been compiled. He emphasized that the country needs a suitable president to implement these laws. He made these remarks during a meeting in Avisavalla area. Presidential candidate Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said that an individual who is against corruption cannot remain in politics in the country. He said that he was in every government and stepped down due to various reasons. He said that laws are required to shape the country. Therefore, he said that laws should be enforced. to change the country, and the country needs a suitable president to implement these laws. He said that there is no time to try new regimes at present. Therefore, he said that through the anti-corruption law, more than 200 parliamentarians will not return to the parliament next time. He said that with the new team, a new government will be formed along with a new parliament filled with professionals.
Presidential candidate Janaka Ratnayaka says that he will improve the living standards of the low-income earning families after being elected to the presidency. He made these remarks when he met with residents of the Kirulapana area yesterday. Presidential candidate Janaka Ratnayaka said that over 50% of the public are yet to decide whom they would vote at the elections. He said that an alternative like him should be elected to bring the needful change in the country. He said that the majority of the low-income earning households in Colombo district is in Kirulapana. He said that 35% of households in Colombo district are of low-income earning families. Therefore, he said that a sustainable and permanent solution is yet to be provided for this issue during the last 76 years. He said that under his government, the houses of the low-income earning families in Colombo district would be improved. He said that he would commit to uplift the nation after being elected as the president.
Presidential candidate Battaramulle Sila Ratanathera recently inquired into the issues pertaining to people living without title deeds in Kokmadua, Valigama area. The Thera said that the president who will make the debt repayments will be produced from Janasatha Peramuna. Presidential candidate Battaramulle Sila Ratanathera said that none of the previous presidents managed to resolve their issues. The Thera said that even though Gotabaya Rajapaksa was forced to step down, the public never received any relief from the government. Therefore, the Thera said that the public has the opportunity to chase the government which destroyed the nation.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe met with the chief prelate of the Ramanya Mahanikaya, Agamaha Pandita Most Venerable Makulave Vimala Mahanayaka Thera, and received blessings. The meeting was held at the Sri Lanka Ramanya Mahanikaya headquarters in Narahimpita this morning. After initiating his election activities, President Ranil Wickremesinghe visited the Mahasangha of the Ramanya Mahanikaya. During the event, they chanted Setpirit and offered their blessings for the president's future endeavors. The president then engaged in a brief discussion with the Mahasangha of the Ramanya Mahanikaya led by the chief prelate, and he updated the Mahasangha on the country's economic recovery and outlined future plans. Mahasangha, including Deputy Chief Prelate Venerable Valebudu Gunasiri Thera, were present.
Parliamentarian Vimalavira Disanayaka says that if President Ranil Wickremesinghe is not reappointed for the next 5 years, Sri Lanka could experience severe repercussions to countries which were destroyed and ruined. He made these remarks when he met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe along with several local government representatives. Parliamentarian Vimalavira Disanayaka said that if President Ranil Wickremesinghe had not been in office at that critical moment, within 24 hours, the Supreme Council of Sri Lanka would have burnt down Parliament, the symbol of the democracy. He said that Sri Lanka would have faced a crisis similar to what Bangladesh is experiencing now. However, within 24 hours, President Wickremesinghe effectively contained the situation, safeguarding both democracy and the rule of law. He said that if President Ranil Wickremesinghe can save the country, all should set aside their political differences and support him.
The Commission to investigate allegations on bribery or corruption received a complaint against presidential candidate Anura Kumar Disanayaka today. The relevant complaint was lodged by Civil Purvasi Aragala movement. The organization, after lodging the complaint with the Bribery Commission, said that presidential candidate Anura Kumar Disanayaka has a moral responsibility to declare his assets completely, despite the statements made by him to eradicate fraud and corruption from the election propaganda campaigns. They alleged that presidential candidate Anura Kumar Disanayaka has misused state resources by occupying government quarters allocated for parliamentarians, even though he has a house in Kirillavala Kadawatha, which is within 25-mile radius imposed when granting government quarters for parliamentarians. That's all the stories on local news. Stay tuned with us for news from overseas.
කොත්තුමි ෆන් තමයි.
And in foreign news, foreign media reported that Australia will introduce a cap on the number of new international students it accepts.
This decision is taken by Australian government to reduce overall migration to pre-pandemic levels, reducing the number of new enrolments to 270,000 for the year 2025. According to the latest government figures from early 2024, Australia is to host about 717,500 international students, but the number of new enrolments will be limited to 270,000 for the year 2025. Education Minister Jason Clare acknowledged that higher education was hard hit during the pandemic when Australia sent foreign students home and introduced strict border controls. He also added, however, that the number of international students at universities is now 10% higher than before COVID-19, while the number at private vocational and training providers is up 50%.
Prima කොත්තුමි ෆන් තමයි.
We now move on to sports news. Paris Paralympics 2024 will commence in Paris tomorrow.
8 Sri Lankan para-athletes will compete in the Paralympics this year. The Paralympics will continue until the 8th of next month with the participation of athletes from 169 countries. Athletes Samita Dulan, Nuan Indika, Pradeep Somasiri, Anil Prasanna, Palita Bandara and Janani Dhananjana are set to represent Sri Lanka at the event. Suresh Dharmasena will compete in the wheelchair tennis event, while Naveed Rahim will represent the swimming event.
Prima කොත්තුමි ෆන් තමයි.
And that's all the stories for tonight. Do join us tomorrow for more of the very latest. Until then, good night.
Good night.